Iga Swiatek has capped off a truly exceptional month and a half by winning her third consecutive WTA 1000 title by beating Naomi Osaka 6-4-6 love to take home the Miami Open crown. Swiatek is the fourth and youngest ever woman to pull off the Sunshine Double, and the first to claim the Gleesome Threesome if you include Doha as well. Going over the match, we actually had a very promising start. Naomi kicked off a 10-minute opening service game where she staved off a couple of break points to get the first hold. I thought this could be the turning point for Osaka as she then went up 30-15 on Swiatek's serve the next game. Iga shut the door on that though with some solid serving to level things up. Osaka didn't serve horrendously at the start of the match, but I think Iga read her serve very well and got a lot of balls back in play, making the Japanese woman work for those holds. Naomi's level dropped at the 2-all game in particular, giving Iga the long break she needed to claim the opening set. I thought Iga did an excellent job of getting Naomi on the move immediately, especially on her own service games, by finding an effective angle from the jump. The backhand, as I mentioned in my previous video, has been a huge weapon for Swiatek this tournament, and it was definitely on fire in this final, out hitting Naomi on those backhand-to-backhand exchanges. She was hitting those sharper angles, which left Osaka flat-footed a number of times. Iga's defense was unsurprisingly phenomenal, and I think that pressured Naomi to go for much more than she needed to. I feel that Naomi wasn't able to weaponize her forehand like in previous matches, some in part because of how well Swiatek handled those forehand-to-forehand exchanges. She withstood the barrage from Osaka and was able to deflect on that wing herself to come up with some solid winners. If Osaka only had a more solid net game, she'd be more comfortable moving forward and taking those balls out of the air instead of trying to blast winners from deeper behind the court, which of course makes it more risky. Iga, on the other hand, didn't feel a need to overhit or rush her ground strokes because she knew she could handle whatever came at her up at net. Osaka also struggled immensely on return. Swiatek won 73% of first serve points and 74% of second serve points. This is both incredible by the poll and sorry from Osaka because as a player you have got to pressure your opponent and make them feel uncomfortable when hitting second serves. On the contrary, Iga was chilling and had a breeze during her service games, not facing a single break point all match. Naomi didn't seem to have a solid strategy for handling the kick serves as she was crowding the service line on some occasions while backing up far too much on others. The number of missed returns was unacceptable, especially at 3-4-30 love in the first set, where Naomi had a legit chance of getting back into it. The placement of Naomi's returns was not ideal either because instead of directing the ball to where Iga was stretched out a bit or even in a neutral position, Osaka just gave it right back to Swiatek in the middle of the court where she almost always took advantage. Comparatively, Swiatek had much more success on second serve returns, taking 65% of those points. I warned Naomi about this, but her second serves are very predictable, as it's almost always that same slash kick to the opponent's backhand. Swiatek ate that mess up almost every time. Naomi did go away mentally in the second set, and I think a lot of that is because of the constant pressure Swiatek puts on her opponents. She hasn't given players much to work with all week, and it can be suffocating when your opponent can seemingly do no wrong. Osaka obviously looked a lot more flustered and in distress out there than in previous matches this tournament, and I think a lot of that comes from having a game plan that just didn't work out or wasn't executed properly. I was fearful of this, but this final did indeed disappoint. It reminded me of last year's Miami Open final actually between Barty and Andreescu, where we had the top women's player going against the Sam champ playing her redemption tournament. Like in both instances, the top player was just too good, outclassing with ease. Swiatek definitely solidified her position as the best women's player on tour because I first thought if anyone was going to beat her, it'd be Naomi, especially seeing as this was a big hardcourt final, which she has never lost before this today. However, Swiatek is just as good, if not better than the Japanese woman in the pressure moments, still not dropping more than 5 games in her last 5 championship matches. I can only clap and give Iga her 10s because to beat Naomi like this, when she came into this match with great form nonetheless, takes a lot of talent. I think Osaka should be very pleased with her performance these past few weeks because with her draw and how things looked at Indian Wells, many didn't even think she advanced past round 2. However, she reminded those doubters that she's still top 5 material and can beat just about anyone on any given day. Today was not that day though, but I am sure that Naomi's already plotting her revenge to get Iga back like she did with Kerber and Bencic this week. I do hope we see a lot more from these two because I think it has the potential of being an excellent rivalry that only grows the sport. Osaka, who started the tournament 77th in the world, will rise to number 36 come Monday and will likely be seeded for Roland Garros. Swiatek, of course, begins her reign as the newest world's number 1, garnering a 1500 plus point lead over number 2 Krejcikova. Swiatek was signed up to play yet another tournament next week, the Charleston Clay Court 500, but thankfully she withdrew. Her next tournament is Stuttgart, while Osaka will likely make her return at Madrid. Now, a man who won't be playing any clay court tennis anytime soon is world number 2 Daniil Medvedev, who revealed this morning that he's been playing with a small hernia the past few months. He already had a procedure done for the issue, which will sideline him for the next month or so. This is yet another big blow to the tour, as of course Rafa is in jeopardy for the clay season due to a cracked rib sustained at Indian Wells. Medvedev historically isn't the best on clay, but he has been making strides the past couple of seasons, so I'm sure he'll be disappointed to not be able to improve further. He has appeared to be a bit off the past few events and looked all out of sorts versus Hurkacz this week, so hopefully we'll see an improved, healthier Daniil come the grass swing. Keeping focus on Miami, we still have one more final remaining, and that's the men's, featuring 6-seed Casper Ruud and 18-year-old sensation Carlos Alcaraz. Alcaraz has easily been the superstar of the tournament and has continued to rack up fan support match after match after match. There's always some type of hot shot being hit by this guy in each match played, and I honestly haven't seen this much hype and excitement behind a younger ATP player in all of my tennis watching life. This tournament, he's taken out Marton Fucsovics, Marin Cilic, and Stefanos Tsitsipas all in straight sets. His biggest challenge came in the quarterfinals, where he narrowly scraped by Miomir Kecmanovic 7-6 in the third. Then in the semifinals, he dethroned defending champ Hubert Hurkacz in 2 tiebreak sets. Casper, meanwhile, has had some pretty big wins himself this fortnight. After cruising by Henry Laaksonen and Sascha Bublik, the Norwegian eased past Cam Norrie 3 and 4 before taking out second seed Zverev in the quarters 6-3, 1-6, 6-3. Then in the semis, he ended Francisco Cerundolo's Cinderella run, taking it 6-4, 6-1. It is a bit ironic that Casper's first 1000 final is on hard court rather than his beloved clay, where he's won 6 out of his 7 tour titles. The Norwegian has the reputation of being a vulture in a sense, all 7 of his titles being 250s. Alcaraz, meanwhile, has 2 clay court titles, one 500 and one 250. Both men are going for their biggest titles, a maiden Masters 1000, so nerves and pressure of the occasion will likely play a significant role. Ruud obviously has more experience on paper, but Alcaraz acts like he has the experience of a seasoned veteran the way he's been getting by these matches. Despite Casper being the higher ranked player and having more years on tour, Carlos is the favorite in this final because of both the hype and the greater weapons he bestows. Both men have very good forehands, but Carlos has a bit more firepower and sting, which can blow opponents off the court. Alcaraz's backhand is much better than Ruud's, as it's more of an offensive shot that can actually win him points. Alcaraz's serve is also a bit more solid and less attackable, although Ruud's kicker can be a dangerous weapon. The 14th seed also has a slight edge in the movement and net play department as well. Carlos did win their lone meeting, which was on clay in Marbella last year. He took that match pretty handily 6-2, 6-4. I don't see this match being as straightforward, as I'm sure Casper's learned a lot from that loss and will have a much better idea of how to play the 18-year-old. I still feel like Carlos is the better player, and despite his youth, I see him handling the occasion better and thus have him taking the title in 3. That's it for this video, and let me know in the comments what you thought of the Swiatek Osaka final and why you think Iga was able to dominate so easily. Also, comment below your picks for tomorrow's men's final. Make sure you all subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post the men's final recap. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today.